Our voices.
Our stories.
Our community.
How do you decompress from the hustle and bustle that is the day-to-day reality of living in an urban environment? For many people in Canada, it's as simple as taking a trip into nature. But for individuals with accessibility issues, these journeys are easier said than done, making it difficult to connect with the natural beauty found all across our country. Just 20 minutes northwest of Victoria, BC, 78 acres of lush fields and forests slope downward to meet the shoreline of Prospect Lake. Formerly a golf course, this hidden gem of Vancouver Island is being repurposed to serve the local community. It's become the new home of Power to Be. In 1998, Tim Cormode had the idea to create a non-profit organization that would empower people living with disabilities to access nature. 20 years on, this idea has grown into a large community, connecting participants to adventures and supporters to opportunities, collectively reimagining the definition of ability.
My name is Tim Cormode, and I am the Executive Director and Co-founder of Power to Be, and we are here today at our new home, our new site, where we intend to build a world-class facility for Power to Be. It's 78 acres of pristine nature with a beautiful waterfront. It's an old golf course that we are going to de-golf and turn into a place to play in nature.
Looking out at the glassy lake, the abundance of wildlife is breathtaking. A sanctuary away from the city, where one can connect with the environment and breathe in fresh, clean air. For an organization focused on access to nature, this location could not be more ideal. But it's been a long journey from Power to Be's humble beginnings to where it is today.
My first job that I really loved as a teenager was working at a camp for kids with disabilities. And I did that for about 3 years. Went on to university. I ended up getting a job in a community group home throughout those 3 years. So when I finished university, had this real desire to move out west, and ended up getting a job actually at Queen Alexandra Hospital for Children in Victoria. And decided out of the blue to go embark on a mountaineering program in Canmore called Yamnuska Mountaineering School. It was a 3-month sort of outdoor leadership program where you're immersed in the Rockies doing a variety of activities from learning to ice climb, whitewater kayak, glacier travel, backcountry skiing, and doing it with 12 people where you're sharing tents every day. So anyway, one day we'd climb this mountain, and there was this real sort of therapeutic sense of accomplishment for myself, and I just thought, how cool would it be to kind of help kids that I used to work with kind of climb, I'm going to say metaphorically, climb their own mountains and do it in the outdoors. So I had this real idea of how can I incorporate my love for the outdoors and my love for work and sort of merge the two together. And I did a bunch of research and found this really awesome organization in Colorado called the Breckenridge Outdoor Education Center. And they did all the kind of work that I really was looking to see what I wanted to do. And so I went down there for 2 weeks and volunteered my time, and it really changed my life. Like, I came back and said, this is what I really want to do, and I want to build a place, I want to build a center, I want to build a home, and I want to build an organization that provides outdoor recreation programs for people living with barriers. I was able to get a grant to start my own business. And our very first really big, important gig, 2 things happened. One was we ended up getting an opportunity to provide an outdoor sea kayaking adventure up in the Broken Islands with BC Children's Hospital. So it was really focusing on teenagers from across British Columbia that were living with or in recovery from cancer. And it was our first big trip, and we had a variety of doctors and other medical sort of support staff that were going to come on the trip. And it was a defining moment for us in the sense of it was really our first trip. And after that, I was like, okay, we're really on to something here. It was really something special.
Goodwill and community help have been instrumental in the growth of Power to Be. Shortly after the team's first successful undertaking, with the help of the Minister of Sport, Power to Be was fast-tracked to become a charity, receiving a generous donation that would help launch its further endeavors.
Here we are now, 20 years later. We have about 325 volunteers. We have 30 full-time staff. Well, last year we served 1,600 participants in our program. We were approached by a family that had this beautiful 9-hole golf course that they were shutting down and asked if we'd like to take it over. And so we're going to transform and turn it into a world-class facility that I really think speaks to not just outdoor education, but speaks to inclusion, speaks to community, and it really speaks to impact.
One such participant is Hannah Canuster. who has been involved with the program for just shy of a decade. Hannah is on the autism spectrum and has difficulty communicating. However, we were able to speak with her mother, Donna. For Donna, Power to Be came into their lives at an important time.
My name is Donna Knuster, and I am connected with Power to Be through my daughter, Hannah, who is almost 24 years old. You know, I remember reading some articles in local community publications, very small ones, about Tim and this idea that he had. And I think at the time Power to Be was quite small and just getting started. And my daughter had just been diagnosed with autism, and it was quite new to us, the whole concept of kind of the supports that she would need throughout her life. And I remember thinking, wow, that would be so amazing if she could someday be involved. But I couldn't even imagine it, you know, like that it would actually come true, but it did. The first couple of times, I think I probably just sat in the car and waited. But once I realized that she was in such capable hands, then I could really relax and just know that she was, you know, really out there enjoying herself and having a good experience.
All right, this is our group. Anyone else? My name is Megan Miller. I've been working with Power to Be for 10 years now. My role currently is manager of COUR programs. However, I've been a program facilitator, I've been a coordinator, so had many different jobs. I actually started as a practicum student with the organization. I've had the privilege to do several ski programs with Hannah, and we've gone up to Mount Washington. That's one of Hannah's favorite activities. She's always ready and willing, and she just has really improved her skills, I've seen too, through that ski program, and I appreciate what Hannah brings to the program and her enthusiasm for what we do. All right, let's walk down to the boat and we'll load in and we'll see you later. Yeah, there we go. And off we go. Good. Nice paddle strokes, everyone.
I've noticed a lot of changes in her because she's become more confident and more willing to trust them. She's developed a trust relationship, so she knows even if it's an activity that she hasn't done before and it's completely foreign to her, she's done enough activities with them to know that they're going to be able to support her in the way that she needs to be supported. So something like surfing, for example. You know, she had no idea really what it was, but was willing to go out and to try it, and, you know, had great success with that.
Our community will return after the break.
We now return to our community.
With accessibility barriers varying from one participant to the next, how does the team at Power to Be accommodate to the needs of participants like Hannah and her family?
Power to Be is really unique in that you don't have to fit into their box. They'll fit into the participants' box. Whatever that box is, whatever it looks like, you know, wherever it takes them, that they're willing to do that. Hannah really likes to know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. So she's very attached to schedules and, you know, when are we starting? When are we finishing? What are we doing while we're doing it? So they were very good about keeping her in the loop of how everything was going to unfold. Like, now we're going to do this, then we're going to do this. And that helps her immensely.
When we arrive to work and we are coming here to meet a group, we'll typically meet them in the parking lot and welcome people in. It's all about community and connection when we're running a program, so we welcome them in. And then we'll come down to the clubhouse, which is overlooking the lake, so we get this beautiful north-facing view. And then we have the beautiful trees in the background, the open expanses of fields. We get to see the birds, and we'll open the day with a circle and begin the program.
At the beginning of each day, the team members, participants, and the participants' families gather together in a circle to introduce themselves. Here they outline their plan for the day, share their experiences, and if time permits, play a quick game before continuing onto the day's main activity.
Does anyone have their ACE card with them today? You show me? Show me? Did you bring it? It's an invisible ACE card. So ACE is ACE, Does someone know what maybe the A would stand for? We like to talk about some of our Power to Be philosophies and how we want to operate as a community and a group for the day. One thing that we try to speak about is what we call our ACE card. And what that means is when they're with us, that the A stands for accepting all abilities, so recognizing that everybody's diverse and different, and we need to accept and support people as they're coming out on program with us. And then the C stands for challenge yourself. So we do want it to be an opportunity for growth and gaining confidence and ability in the activities that we're doing for that day. And the last one is E, which stands for encourage others. So we want it to be a supportive environment where people come away gaining that community feeling and that they feel really positive walking away from this. Our approach to people when they come to us is to make sure that we don't make any assumptions and that we suspend judgment and just remain curious about the people that are participating in our programs, really recognizing that they're the experts of their own life. They're the ones that are going to tell us how we can best support them, where their comfortability lies. So I remember a rock climbing program we did with Hannah where she would come and get the harness on, and a little bit of hesitation and anxiousness about this climbing the wall and going up, but through the time that we spent with her in sort of building that experience and opportunity, she was able to begin climbing the wall and put one hand in front of the other and get up and go up higher onto the rock climbing wall, where eventually she made it to the top. And that's really what that represents an experience for people here at Power to Be, is through just one hand, one foot in front of each other, and just setting your goal and us being there to help you achieve it.
The emotion is present as Hannah's mother reflects on the changes she's seen in her daughter.
It's very emotional for me, actually, to talk about it when I think about it, because it has provided my daughter with so many amazing opportunities, and it helps her anxiety a lot. And she doesn't even realize that, but we realize it. So just the ability that she has to go out, be in nature, do fun things in a group setting, and to be accepted for who she is, it's pretty incredible.
Hannah is just one of the many participants to benefit from Power to Be's new home at Prospect Lake. Malia Machman, a participant who is already enjoying the advantages of this new location, spoke to us about her experiences with the organization.
My name is Malia Machman.
How long have you been part of Power to Be for?
A long time.
A very long time,
Yes.
right? So what are some of your favorite activities to do with the group?
I like everything. That's a bit of horseback riding. I love that. I love making new friends.
And do you have any of your favorite catchphrases or things that you'd like to share about Power to Be?
Power to Be is awesome, and Power to Be in my life.
Power to Be is your life?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, Malia.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out and talking today. It was good. Good having you out here today. It was nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a long time.
Yeah, I see you a long time.
Another participant, Claire Bruce, echoed Malia's enthusiasm. Claire has limited mobility, so in order to navigate through the forest, she's seated on a trail rider, a lightweight, one-wheeled vehicle that can traverse any terrain with the aid of helpers, one pushing and one pulling. Her journey with the organization began several years ago, and she attributes its success to the passion of the staff and volunteers at Power to Be.
It's not a job, it's more of a hobby for them. They just really go at it. They're not cared about being paid. They just want to be out in nature and helping everyone. I think it's a place where people can be who they are. It doesn't matter about your disability, your limitations, or your background. It just matters that you're with nature and with the people that really want to help you out and discover what you can do in life.
Jackie Gay is a volunteer with the organization, a Paralympic athlete with an amputation. She's been working with Power to Be for just over 3 years. She shared with us her motivation for joining the team.
I mean, myself as a person with a disability, it's so rare to see people actually out doing stuff. The fact that the organization, its mission is there to change that is what's most important to me. because that's what I want to change. I don't want it to be an anomaly for a person with a disability to be in a wild place. With Power to Be, it's like, well, let's see what we can do in terms of pushing and challenging and innovating with groups. And there are a lot of barriers, and Power to Be has systematically removed them and will continue to systematically remove them until nature and recreation and access to the wilderness is a reality for people with all variety of disabilities.
While there are already multiple programs being offered simultaneously at the new location, Tim assures us that there are plenty more activities and developments to come.
Here, presently where I'm standing, is an old clubhouse, which we plan to tear down, and we will turn into a much newer and inspiring facility for our participants and our staff and our volunteers. We've just created sort of, I'm going to say, our accessible waterfront space where we'll be providing a lot of sort of adaptive water sports. We have access to 50 acres of wonderful forest area that we plan to turn into nature-based hikes, camping, and a place to play every day. And if you'd like, I can go give you a tour.
Our community will return after the break.
We now return to our community.
While touring us through the old grassy fairway on the property, Tim Cormo, the executive director at Power to Be, explains his plans for the future of the location.
It's that area that will be sort of our multi-building space. So it'll include staff quarters for meetings, etc. It'll be our kitchen and our food prep area, a place for our participants to eat. It will include sort of a welcoming administrative space, space for boardrooms, breakout spaces, also sort of a maintenance storage room. And then last but not least, we're building this really awesome, I'm going to call it sort of the Great Hall. But the Great Hall really is a play space when it's raining that we can be inside, but everything opens up to the outside. And we went with a multi-building type environment, largely because we wanted to have breakout spaces to nature as best as possible. What we also had was golf cart paths. Now, we still have lots of work to do, but part of all of this will be that we grade all of these particular trails to make them accessible for, say, people with physical barriers, etc. And having some of the fields that we'll use, the old fairways, will be play spaces where participants come out and play games and get to know each other. What I want to take you to is up to what I will call the Roundhouse. It's sort of a campfire spot where everyone comes together, have conversations, laugh, tell stories. It's just a really cool place where it just absorbs sound, but you can really hear conversations in here. It's really, really neat. This kind of conceptually kind of gives you an idea of that kind of West Coast look and feel of what the rest of our buildings will look like, which is all about timber frame, big windows, green roofs. It's gonna be pretty cool.
A short walk through the forest leads us to a clearing containing wooden platforms for tents. As with everything else on the property, Tim ensured that the platforms were accessible to all and had them equipped with ramps for wheelchair access.
These are our campsites, so it creates a little bit more comfort, has accessibility for those that are needing with a wheelchair or mobility issues, and a place that's a bit larger to host a family, for example, for a camping trip.
Closer toward the water, small infrastructure projects have already begun, beginning with the kayak storage and boat launch, which was built with accessibility in mind.
So what you have here, is a starting point, again, going back to volunteerism and the ability to give back. A variety of trades workers came in with volunteers and built this for us, all in kind. Again, in partnership, BC Freshwater Fisheries had a mandate to create accessible docks in various parks. So we approached them and said, look, we don't necessarily, this is not a public space per se, but I can promise you from an accessibility standpoint, we'll get a lot of use out of this, probably more than your mainstream park would. So with their support, they not only designed the dock, they financed the whole thing for us and built it for us. This is sort of the, I'm gonna say, swim / kind of fishing area. And this is just recently built where we can slide boats in and out, easy to transfer people in and out. We'll have transfer benches on this dock with a lift. It's a place that I really believe will inspire communities across Canada to think about doing something like this in their own place and leveraging
current spaces like great golf courses or et cetera that might be being in foreclosure, that might be turning into residential space, and get them to think differently and say, hey, make it a green space for your community and make it accessible for everybody, where everyone feels part of something.
Inclusion is fundamental in the philosophy of Power to Be, and this ideology goes beyond accessibility. It also shapes the way the organization interacts with the family members of participants who are invited to be involved.
Our programs, used to be very much focused just on the participant, in the sense of the individual. But now we have very much family-based programs. So we're really, I think in today's environment too, families sort of drop their kids off, they go in a different place, whereas we're trying to encourage families to participate in our activities with their children and experience this together.
When my other daughter was younger, she was a little jealous of all the opportunities that Hannah would get to go on. And she'd be like, well, why don't I get to go and do this and go on a hike? Power to Be is the only organization that really makes an effort to include the whole family and provide those kind of opportunities, and really fun ones. Like, they're not lame opportunities, they're really super fun opportunities. And that is something that has brought just great family bonding experiences for us. The other thing that they do that's sort of along the same lines, makes me think of that, is that you can stay with them for as long as you want. There are opportunities for youth to participate in different activities, and a lot of the funding is directed at people under the age of 19. And sadly, as soon as you turn 19, it's like the rug is pulled out from under you, because all of these things that you were accustomed to doing, you had built up some rapport, some experience, some skills, you no longer have access to those activities. And it really is amazing to have the continuity of a program like Power to Be. There's not that pressure. Like, there was always sort of the clock ticking down for me when she was in other programs, and I didn't know how I was going to tell her that, well, I know you really like this, but you're not going to be able to go back there next year because you're turning 19. And it's really, really nice to have that security of a program that is just continuing and continues to support participants as they grow and develop and their needs change as well.
Power to Be's dedication to family support and overcoming barriers such as age is essential to the organization's philosophy. And as Tim points out, these barriers can even include the need for financial support.
It's very limited costs. We encourage a small fee largely for the sake of a commitment, but I think most of our participants are pretty committed, and we do not let financial barriers get in the way, meaning if you can't afford it, we will subsidize your program completely.
When asked about her long-term hope for the relationship between Power to Be and her daughter Hannah, Donna's response was quick.
I'm not going anywhere. We're staying with Power to Be for as long as they'll have us. Yeah.
With the promise of a long future with Power to Be, the prospects for an active, engaged life for Hannah and her family are bright. In the week following his interview, Tim made public Power to Be's biggest announcement yet. The organization had received an anonymous donation of $10 million. Backed by this new funding, the development plans for the Prospect Lake location have been fast-tracked from goal to reality.
Well, I think I'm one of the fortunate few that I love my job probably 364 days of the year. It has its challenges. I love waking up every day with, there's always something new, there's new opportunity to explore. I love coming here to work to be part of our team and a great team of people that inspire me to do good things. So I would say ultimately the best thing about my job is continuing to know that our vision is possible and where we want to go as an organization is possible, and know that we have the resources and support to make it happen. It's just all about connecting the dots. I would sum it up this way. We, as an organization, want to be a real force for good in this world. And I want this to be a place where, social entrepreneurs can come together with corporate leaders and other funders to talk about how to make the world a better place, and use this as a place for inspirational conversations. And not just inspirational conversations, real action. And those are the things strategically that I look forward to. And this site really will help us get there in a variety of ways. This is a place that people can come from other parts of the world to see what we do, share knowledge, collaborate, and I hope people leave going, we got to build one of these things in our community. And I know that this is what this place is going to be for us.
Ultimately, Power to Be is about serving its participants. And with exciting developments on the horizon, that capacity is sure to grow, and people such as Hannah will have a home in nature for decades to come. Producer Mike Waverkin. Director Cody Graham. Writers Adrian Salad, John Roney. Director of Photography Chris Wilson. Camera Operator Nathan Stevens. Editors John Roney, Maryam Bakhtiar. Sound Editor Gilles Maillet. Sound Mix David Parfit. Integrated Described Video Specialist Emily Hardy. Narrator Jim Van Horne. Regional Content Specialist Sylvie Fouquet. Production Supervisor Janice Sivitilli. Director Production Karen Nye. Director of Programming Brian Perdue. Vice President Programming and Production John Melville. President and CEO David Errington. Copyright 2018 Accessible Media Incorporated.